Welcome to Gahiza Island Retreat, a tiny slice of heaven nestled in the majestic Lake Mutanda, where the boundaries of nature and serenity blur. For 12 years, David and his family have called this enchanting 2-acre island home, weaving a rich tapestry of stories, laughter and adventure. As the sun rises over the Virunga volcanoes, casting a golden glow on the tranquil waters, David invites you to share in the secrets and magic of Gahiza Island. Join us on a journey to this little paradise where the rhythms of nature and the warmth of family create a haven for the soul. Discover the fascinating history, breathtaking views, and warm hospitality that make Gahiza Island Retreat a true gem of Uganda.
My name is David Bakaine. I'm the owner of Gahiza Island. Gahiza Island is a very fascinating small island on Lake Mutanda. It is not only the island which is fascinating, but the entire Lake Mutanda. Its history is very fascinating in a way that is a place, a lake that not many have discovered. This island itself, I have had it for the last 12 years, and I was the first person to set foot on this island. For a very long period of time, no one had been here. The last people to set foot or to live on this island had lived 600 years earlier before I came here. There are some pieces of information or evidence that we have to show that people lived here, but a long time ago. We have some trees growing on the island. They are called the African dragon tree. They are somehow on the other end of the island. They shelter the island from the wind which comes from the side of the volcanoes. We've got some stones which I picked around the island, and these stones, some are for grinding, some are for sharpening tools, and they are from many years ago. We have got some pots, which some of them, I got some broken pieces. I gave them to a friend who lives in Italy, and he took them to Milan, to the University of Milan, for carbon dating, and they're the ones who told me that the pieces were 600 to 700 years old. That's about the time people lived on the island. I have also, when I was trying to make a fish pond, I got some bones, which I believe they are from a very old person. They are very old, the big bones. I think they come from the knee, and I believe they are from someone who lived, maybe the last people to live on the island. But that was a long time ago. We've got tobacco growing on the island. I didn't plant it. It sprouts in the wet season and dries in the dry season. And so it was planted definitely by the people of the past. The purpose was probably for smoking, but beyond smoking, tobacco can chase snakes from the house. If you plant tobacco around your house, the snakes cannot enter or get close to the house. When the elder persons who lived on the island died, the young ones didn't like to live on the island. There are some bits of evidence across the lake, on the shores of the lake, which show that some people lived on that part. But later they abandoned living close to the lake. They went to live on top of the hill. And when they abandoned the lake altogether and this island, the island started to be used as a punishment island, sadly. That's quite a sad story. There are 3 points in Western Uganda where ladies who got pregnant or who conceived before marriage were dumped as a form of punishment. They were meant to starve and die, and one of the ways that helped them to survive was raising the alarm. If they were dumped at like Gahiza Island and they made the alarm, whoo, the people across in Gahiza village or the people across on the island of Mutanda, they would see that there's somebody at the small island. So actually initially it was some people called it the punishment island. Some people, the people would watch from aside. They see there's a lady who is dumped there. They would come with canoes, pick the lady, and the men who wanted to marry but didn't have the resources, didn't have the cows to pay as bride price, they would get the opportunity to to pick the lady and marry her for free. Apparently, that's how also some of the Batwa are said to have started scouting around, waiting for an opportunity to rescue somebody from the island and take them and marry them, because otherwise they would starve and die. I haven't found any clues beyond the bone that I got, which seemed to be much older than what would be of the remains of the ladies here. I haven't found so much or anything in that regard to show that ladies actually died and rode from here. But if somebody died from either here or around this area, there was a special place where the people were buried, the dead of the past. So everyone in the region was taken to the caves. We call them skeleton. The caves are on a skeleton island. That's how we call it. But its original name is Changushu, which is quite opposite Mutanda Island. That's where everybody from the whole of this region was buried. Why were people buried there? It's because burying under the ground had not started. The practice or the habit of burying people under the ground, 6 feet down, started about 350 years ago, which is not a very long period of time. And actually it started from London, where there was an outbreak of a disease, and it was being spread by water. So to help contain the disease, the mayor of the city suggested that they should start burying the dead under the ground. However, the people of Mutanda, interestingly, for them they had found a way of burying their dead. So if somebody died, they would bring the dead and bury them or keep them in the cave. Actually, it was not, I wouldn't say it was burial, but they used to carry them on a stretcher and just gently drop them in the caves on Lake Mutanda. That is one of the activities that mainly we do when we are on this lake. We do boat trips to see birds. We have a lot of fascinating birds, many colorful birds. So along the way, we go by boat, then take a boat ride along the shores of the lake, doing bird watching, then proceed to the Skeleton Island, then go around, visit the Mutanda Island community, because there are many elements in one. We've got Mutanda village, we've got Mutanda Island, Mutanda Lake. So the lake itself got the name from Mutanda Island, and the island got the name from Mutanda village. The village was there around 10,000 years ago when the lake, the volcanoes were erupting in Gahiza. The magma flew to the bottom of the valley. It caused the river which was flowing through the valley to backfill and create a lake which was named after Mutanda, the biggest island, and it's called Lake Mutanda. So we go and explore that part which not many people have been to, and then we come around as we enjoy the views of the volcanoes, or even those who want, they camp around here. We've got facilities for camping, for example, on this small island. So probably something that you would be interested in knowing is how I came to be in the middle of the lake. So 12 years ago, I was with some guests because I used to do safaris as a safari guide. So I brought some tourists to Gahiza to track mountain gorillas. When we did the gorilla tracking and came down to town, because we were sleeping in a hotel in Kisoro town, it was too early to do nothing in the hotel. So we asked from the reception what else we could do, and the people at the reception of that hotel in town told us we could hike on one of the hills, which is a very beautiful hill in Kisoro. And the purpose of hiking there was to view Kisoro town from the hill. So true, we took the activity on. We hiked, and once we got to the top of the hill, on one side there was the view of Kisoro town, and on the other side there was a lake, a very beautiful lake with a beautiful environment. And when I saw it, with a very small island which was surrounded by a big mass of water, I said, because of its size, I said to myself, maybe you can buy it. It didn't matter to me whether it was a big land, but in my head I was like, even if there's just space for only one tent, I would put a tent there. I like nature myself. I said I would really love to be in that kind of wilderness. So after finishing my trip, I took my guests to Likimburo National Park actually for one night. Then we proceeded to Entebbe. I stayed in Entebbe for one night. The following day I came straight. My home is in Kabale, but I never even stopped in Kabale. I came straight to Lake Mutanda. I left my phone number with 3 contacts around the lake. And it's these guys who found the owners of the island, who were 2 young brothers. Well, not so young because they are about my age. They had gone to the island from their father, from the grandfather, great-grandfather. So it was like a family lineage. And the boys had never been to the island. So when I expressed interest in buying, they were like, okay, you can have it because we're not using it anyway. And so we negotiated. And actually, I asked them to bring me to the island to show me what I was buying. And they were hesitant. But when we finally mobilized some canoes to come, we turned around the island to a view which shows the longer part of the island. And they thought it was slightly bigger than we thought initially. And they were like, oh, you have seen, it's even bigger than we thought. But you go ahead and buy. If you don't want to buy, it's up to you. For us, we're not going to step on the island. We have to go back. I accepted. We went back, and then I paid. But when I paid and finished to complete my payment, that's actually when drama started. I tried to come to the island many times, but no one from around the area wanted me to use their canoe. At that point, there was only one boat, which I had not even seen for a long time, a wooden boat. But only canoes were on this lake. And whenever I tried to use the canoes, nobody wanted me to use the canoes. They tried to avoid me as much as they could. And I wondered why. It took me a lot of time to figure out why they were always uncomfortable with my presence. For example, when I saw that they were not helping me with their canoes, I bought a big tree and asked for who could help me to make canoes. I organized and made my own canoes. It's the canoes I started to use to access the island. I had 3, but one was too small that on the first day we put it in the water, it capsized, it went down. Then the other 2 were fairly okay until the dry season, when the wind was too much and also it nearly drowned me. Then I was like, I'm not coming back until I have a good boat. So I went home and then I went to Lake Victoria and was trying to look for solutions. Then I found somebody who could build boats with wood. So I brought somebody to this lake to build a boat, which was probably the first. And it was big enough, so it was sturdy. I could not fear it. So it's with this boat, nobody wanted to be in the boat to help me paddle it. So the first people again to come and use that boat were my family. I went back home in Kabale. I called my parents. My father came here, my mother. It was, I think, her first time to be in the boat. My brother and sisters. When we came to this island, we started from one end of the island, then we went opening up little bit by bit to the side, which is relatively flat and big enough. We put up our tents, we lit the fire, made some dinner, and it is throughout that night that I saw people flashing their torches from the Gahiza, from the whole village. So they were, I remember at some point I went even for a short call around 4 a.m. But even then, somebody was still flashing his torch unto us on the island. I didn't think much about it. I thought maybe it's because of the first night we're spending here. But the following morning, I saw more canoes on the island than I've ever seen again, because they were lining up from one end of the island to the other. And the people who came, they only said hello to us. No one came out of the canoe. And then after a short while, they went. They came at 8 a.m. sharp, as if they had all gathered. They had all gathered their colleagues. So they said hello and they went back. I didn't bother to know why they had come. So after like 6 months, one of the guys who got used to me by coming here and going, seeing me come and go, he was like, David, do you know I was among the first people to come to find you on the island the first night you stayed there? I said, wow, I didn't know. He's like, do you know why we came there? I said, no. He said, we wanted to see if you people had died. I said, why would we die? He said, that island, we believe that if anyone steps on it, they will die. I said, why? Because it has stories of the past. We think the evil spirits are there from the ladies of the past. So we think if someone goes there, they die. Those are some of the justifications I have to prove that I was actually the first person here. So when he told me, I was like, but you know I live on the island and nothing has happened to me. He said, yes, for you, we know, the whole village knows that you are a magician. I said, magician? Why? What are you talking about? He said, yes, we know that a young boy came from Kabale. He has a lot of magic, and so nothing has happened to him, yet he stays on the island. I said, okay. I wasn't sure whether to say this is a good thing or a bad thing, but then I started to reflect on what had happened to me before. Like I've just told you, people never wanted me in their canoes. Even when I offered money, nobody was willing to bring me. One time I was coming from Kisoro town. I asked somebody on a border to bring me to Kaboko Church, which is the main entry point I use. And the guy was like, I don't want to go to the police. Then I said, no, what do you mean by police? I'm telling you, bring me to Kaboko Church. He was like, no. He got angry and he started his motorbike and left. Then I asked his colleague, why am I asking your friend to take me to Kaboko Church? And he says he doesn't want to go to the police. I said, what is the connection? He said, yes, if he takes you to Kaboko Church and you drown yourself in the lake, then he has to make a statement at the police station because he's the person who took you there. I said, what are you talking about? Why am I going to drown myself? Because everyone who goes to that point of so there's a river which flows out of Lake Mutanda. It goes to Congo, it's called River Kaku. It goes to Mutanda, it's called Rushuru. Then it goes around back to Semriki, up to join Albert Nile. So this river starts from Lake Mutanda, the southern tip of Lake Mutanda. And this is the point where I would access the canoes. So these guys knew already that if somebody, so all the news they always got in town was that if somebody wanted to commit suicide, they go to that point. So that point was a no-go place, nobody wanted to go there. I used to be on the island for a week or 2 weeks without seeing any canoe, without seeing anyone on the lake. But now, many people have come up to establish business on the lake. We've got people offering boat tours. We have one of our creeks is doing amazing boat safaris here. And more people are coming to visit the island. The local people who had previously not come to the island, now come to enjoy not only the island, but boat tours on the lake to enjoy what the lake has to offer. So we have seen slowly tourism transform, whereby both domestic and international tourists are starting to look onto Mutanda as their place to explore. And indeed they're coming to explore this part of the world. I named my place Mutanda Island Lodge with the hope that I would build a lodge to promote the lake. Because on Google itself, there was only one paragraph, only one page with one paragraph about Lake Mutanda. There was hardly anything. And now I believe about 70% of the people visiting this region have come to Lake Mutanda because either they have heard about it from me or from a friend of a friend who is my friend. But also most importantly, because of the awareness we've tried to raise, working in partnership with the District Tourism Office and some other stakeholders, we've managed to get the government big interest into Lake Mutanda. Today, the caves that I talked about are named by government. We have called them Mutanda Royal Tombs. The government has set up some signposts and has picked interest to promote this culture tourism. And so I hope that in future, the government will keep coming in and supporting our small efforts to promote Lake Mutanda because it has an incredible beauty that you can hardly find anywhere around. I have been on safaris, I've been in tourism for the last 24 years. I have traveled around Uganda and with these views of the volcanoes, with these green undulating hills around, I have not seen a place or even an island that is as beautiful as this one. When the tourists come here, normally they come to relax. So we have got actually sometimes people who work like in Kisoro town, people who work like in some of the hospitals around. They make sure, especially the Muzungus, international tourists who come they come to as interns sometimes or to work around. So they come and interestingly, they want to chillax around here. And like this is our fireplace, which normally every evening we set the fire on. People just sit here, enjoy the campfire, the fascinating stories about the region. Here we've got some pieces, collections that I got from here when I was trying to clear up here. This in particular is a grinding stone. It had an edge which is for sharpening tools. This is the same as this for grinding, making flour. We've got these are of the recent past. We wouldn't say that these are for 600 years, but they are somehow very old things. But this in particular is what I gave a piece of. It was a small pot here. I gave a piece to a friend who is in Italy, in Milan, for carbon dating, and is the one who told me that it's 600 to 700 years old. That's about the time people used to live here. Interestingly, this is a precious stone. It's quartz. Quartz is not very, very expensive, but we have a lot of precious stones around here. So it sounds like in the past, it was some bit of a collection whereby people used to collect some precious stones and brought them to this island here. This island facility started as a camping site. I have a friend who has been living in this region for a long time. He's called Miha, and he knows a lot about what I've been doing in tourism and conservation. I am actually one person who worked with a lady from Holland to bring rhinos to Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary. I've done a lot of work in rhino conservation, and this guy, to help me, he said, David, if I had money, I would give you, but I don't have it, so go and set up a toilet for us, and I'll be bringing you guests to your island. So I started as it was a campsite whereby we had tents that we put up for our guests, and now I built 2 cabins, which are self-contained. They have, of course, they've got a toilet, they've got a good shower with hot water all the time. It has great views, so even when you're taking a shower, you can still look through and enjoy the views of the lake there. We provide few rooms, and it is deliberate because we want somebody to have the experience whereby they can feel on their own. In fact, most of our workers, they come when the guests are not here, and they go when the guests come. So the guests can enjoy the views, enjoy the nature around the island, enjoy without anyone disorganizing or disrupting their stay. If you've heard a saying that no one is an island, it basically means that to be on an island, you have to be self-sustaining and you have almost everything that you need to survive. So for us here, we try to even grow some bit of crops somewhere. We try to be self-sustaining. We try to be environmentally friendly. We create an environment which someone will feel that this is something they miss outside their homes. When it was the actual day for opening, no single guest came up. That's when I was like, okay, I'm in for a long ride. So I started to take life very slowly and started to promote the place. But today we've got more people coming. Every year we start to see numbers of people coming up. So the plan now, because we are sure that investing in tourism, investing on this island in particular, we can't go wrong. So we have fantastic plans of upscaling this. We are going to transform it into probably the first, maybe 5-star of its kind in the very near future.